All right, we are going to finish. All right, we're going to finish splitting this crankcase on a 1983 Kawasaki KX250. Now we've got 12 8mm bolts out around the outside of this crankcase, kind of holding everything together. And now we're going to take a small hammer or a rubber mallet or a plastic mallet, and we're going to take and kind of just put pressure, kind of just pull up on this crankcase, just kind of take the load off of it. We're going to tap on the other side. You don't want to tap on the crankcase the whole thing, or you're not going to do anything. You want to tap on the other side. And then also what you can do is take a rubber mallet, also again still kind of lifting up, taking the pressure, taking the weight off the crankcase. Just tap on those two spots. And what that does is kind of breaks that seal in there. And then now once you kind of got that seal broke, you can set it down and then just kind of hang on to it that way. And we can just kind of split that crankcase, continuing to do that. Now once you get to a certain point, a lot of times it'll just kind of break free at some point. Sometimes it doesn't though. I don't like to use crowbars if I don't have to, but when I do, I like to pry in an area, motor mount area. So it'd be this place here, right here, or down in the bottom there. Those are areas where the crankcase has got a seal in two spots, or that gasket's got a seal in two spots. And so it's just a little bit safer spot to pry on. Again, I don't like to do that if I don't have to. But sometimes there's just, a lot of times those dowel pins will cause it to be held up, or other areas. We'll continue trying to break it free there. If your crank is no good, it's pretty obvious you can use a hammer and tap on that. I don't know for sure that our crank is good or bad, so I didn't want to damage that. And then once you continue that way, a lot of times you can just kind of walk that crankcase off. There is your left-hand crankcase here. You got where your main bearing here, where your crank sits. You got a bushing here and a bearing here. A lot of times I like to replace those since we're doing it. We've got your shift drum here, and this is where the shift star sits here, and where that little peg is goes right down into your shift assembly there. And then we've got your bolt that goes down the center there. You've got your main output shaft here, right here. But what I like to do next is pull these shift forks and just kind of lift up on the shaft there, pull those forks out of there. Same way with that one. And a lot of times I like to try to take these out together. And sometimes you got to tap on the backside there, but kind of keeping your hand on both of them. That way you kind of keep everything together. Sometimes the washer will stay on there, so just kind of watch that so you don't have anything left behind. And then your crankshaft, if it's good, use a rubber mallet or a hammer to tap it out the other way. Sometimes those bearings will stick and it'll be quite a challenge to get these apart. We'll continue to work on that, but that's how that crank will come out of there. May take heating it up to get that out. Next thing we're going to do is pull the water pump seal, or the water pump. And a common problem on these is to replace a water pump seal, and I'll show you how to do that. We've got 4 8mm bolts holding this cover on here. We'll grab an impact, just buzz these 8mm off. You can remove and replace this without actually pulling that cover, without pulling the crankcase clutch cover off. We've got your water pump's cover there. It's got a gasket right here you want to make sure you replace. Got a 10mm bolt here. Now what we're going to do with this one is just loosen it up, and you want to make sure you're hanging onto that impeller when you spin it. Loosen it up there. Now what we're going to do is take this 10mm socket here, and then I like to use a metal hammer for this, but you want to make sure you thread that on. Make sure there's a little bit of space between it and the actual impeller, enough to tap on it and it moves, but you also want to make sure you pick up 3 or 4 threads. Do that, and do it again. And that water pump will push out the back there, and then you're able to just kind of lift this up there. There's your seal back there. I think just so you understand, you do have to pull this clutch cover to replace that seal on this one. Some of them you do, some of them you do not have to, this one you do. So common problem is these shaft grooves right there causing that to seal, or sometimes enough pressure in there to where this seal fails there, and you'll be able to see oil in your crankcase, or excuse me, coolant in your crankcase if this seal is leaking. So just kind of watch that.